Welcome back, everybody, to another episode of Let's Talk About It, the podcast, where we talk life, faith, and everything in between. I'm your host, Amber, and today we are going to be talking about patience. This is actually was requested by one of my girls to talk about patience, and so I really just pray that I talk about and y'all get something out of this one, because every day you gotta have patience. Like every single day. There's not one day that goes by that I don't sit there and be like, Lord, help me with my patience. So, I would say it's you have to be intentional about having patience. Because it isn't just you don't just do it. Like it's super easy to not have patience. But then if you're not patient with the situation, then you can always act out of emotion instead of logic. So you just gotta, kind of have just a moment to digress, to take a breath, and get yourself together. There's so many different things that you have to have patience with, whether that is people and God. I think those are the two main things that I'm gonna talk about: is having patience with people and then having patience with waiting on the Lord. So you gotta have patience for the supernatural and in the natural. First, I'm gonna talk about people though, because not everybody is really So I'm gonna say, especially with me working at Wells Fargo, I've noticed and I've learned even with that, people when they are having an attitude or trying to get an attitude with me, it's I just work here, sir. I don't know what to tell you. This is this is what the policy is, and that's what I gotta do. But I've always realized that they're not mad at me, they're mad at the situation. So even if they are lashing out at me, if I'm just calm and patient with them, at the end of it all, after they're I'm not mad at you, I'm just upset with the situation. It's I know. That's why I wasn't mad either. I'm not gonna keep going back and forth. I'm not gonna give that same energy. Because for one, why? What's the point? It ain't they saying calling me out my name or whatever, but they need somebody imagine if you are just having a bad day. You're just having the worst day of your life, and you lash out on somebody and they lash out back at you, and then it's a whole back and forth. But I've noticed too, when people are angry, that sometimes they just need a hug, or they just need somebody to be soft with them or calm, so that they can feed off your energy, right? With me working with kids, at one point in time, it would be times where I'm Lord, I need you to finish this appointment for me and give me your patience, because mine is running thin. I don't got no more. And I literally did that almost whenever I had a client that it was kind of difficult to get through, but I knew I had to get through it. I would literally be Lord, I need your patience, because Amber don't have all the patience in the world. And there's people that will attest to that. I have patience to a certain extent, because at one point it's all right now, you doing too much, you know better than this, so I'm not going to keep giving all this grace. Grace does run out, but I still pray for all the patience and giving grace in the world, even though I don't have it and it don't always work out the way that I wanted to sometimes. But yeah, I think in just situations where you feel you are it's not happening fast enough for you, or somebody just not understanding what you're trying to say or whatever, it's just just having patience, just keeping calm and not lashing out of emotion. Because at the end, once you lash out of anger, then it's it's no going back from what's going to be said or what's going to be done. A lot of that's how violence ends up. People end up losing their lives too, because they're not being patient with others. Because people crazy out here. People are crazy, but there's times where if somebody would have just been patient or not have lashed out of anger, some people would still be here. I know that's kind of heavy. I don't know. Anyway, I know that's a little heavy, but I feel like it's the truth, though. I feel like we just all need to have patience with each other, and we all just need to give each other grace because we're all going through something. Um, People aren't always mad at you, and to be honest, it's something. Sometimes it's always like it could be a spirit that's operating in them that makes them. Not, I'm not gonna say makes them, but um, sometimes it's not the person; it's the spirit that's working in them. So, like, we're not fighting against flesh and blood. So we're fighting against like spirits and that scripture. Like I said, every time I get on camera, I always act like I don't know scripture, but we're not. Like, so we do not wrestle against flesh and blood, but against the rulers, against authorities, against cosmic powers over the present darkness, against the forces in evil spiritual forces of evil in the heavenly places. So therefore, we're put on the whole armor of God. That's a whole other thing. But so we're not fighting against people. We're fighting against spirits. Not I ain't gonna say all the time though. Sometimes it'll be people, but there are some times where it's like a spirit that is like operating or taking place in somebody that we as believers and we as followers of Christ with our discernment should know that and how to deal with it. Um, but that's why we pray, because we don't know everything. I don't know everything. I literally like, Lord, help me to keep my calm, help me to be patient, because, like I said, I don't have all the patience in the world. Um, and just also being patient with God too. Like when we're asking Him for something, just trust that He's sovereign enough to know when, where, how He will give us whatever we're asking for. Whether it is like we talked about this before, like I talked about this before, when we're asking God for something and like resting in just knowing that He's gonna fulfill what He said He's gonna do in our lives. Just being patient with that, because sometimes like we deal with things that we never were supposed to deal with anyway. God never intended us to live a life like this where we're fighting against spirits, like demonic spirits and stuff. That was not His intention. So when He understands, like He knows what we go through, so He is able to empathize with us, and just like being patient with the Lord, because He is patient with us. When I tell you He is patient with us, especially me, because baby, He is so patient with me. Like I legit struggle with like just getting into my word consistently. Like I'll get into it and I'll be like studying, and then I'll just be falling off for like weeks at a time. But He never like holds it against me. He doesn't just sit there and be like, "Oh, you should be reading right now." Well, I ain't gonna lie. Hold on. That's the conviction. But it's not like He will. He won't. He's not mad at us for like the things that we have done. Like He actually probably grieves for us because He knows that we could do better than what we're allowing, like what we're allowing ourselves to do, if that makes sense. Just waiting on the Lord, just doing what we're supposed to do, because when we're trying to rush like His promise, and rush to get to the promised land, we miss out on what He's trying to teach us in the midst of getting there. In the midst of the process. So we just have to really just learn how to trust the Lord, wait on Him, and in us waiting on God, we need to trust the process. So whether I remember He gave me like this thing, and I guess it's like kind of ties into this. We'll see. Maybe, I think so. Like, oh yeah, it does. So like how like in the games, like say you're playing Mario, Super Mario Brothers, and like it's these different like these castles or whatever that you play, and when you pass one, you get to go to the next one. But if you die in the next one, you start back from that like level 2 or whatever. I feel like it's the same thing with the Lord. Like I feel like He gave me this revelation before, because I was like, Lord, it's always something that I have to go through, and I'm tired of having to go through something. Like you don't give me a chance to just sit and ponder what I just went through. It's always something. And so, which I feel like that's just how he rolls with me. I guess y'all might can relate, but it is what it is at this point. I kind of just accepted it. But like if, what was it? Like I went through healing, right? So I was going through my healing journey, got through healing. And I said not completely, but I was going through my healing journey, and then I learned that I had to trust, like, no, I had to do, like, take a leap of faith. So cool, I'm getting through that, whatever. And then the next checkpoint, I'm gonna have to go through, go through some like trusting issues with the Lord. Like it was like each time that like I would like pass a test, quote unquote. Um, it was like it was something new that he didn't do it all at one time. He did it one by one. Like it was healing, then it was my faith, and then it was trusting him, and then it was just going through all of it, and like going through more healing and stuff like that. Like he doesn't do it all at once because he is gentle with us, and he doesn't put more on us than we can bear. I really believe that because I feel like he gives us the grace to go through the things that he called us to go through. Meaning, if he has called you to own a business, he gives you the grace for it. He helps you get through it. He will give you the direction to. But if he has not if you have not been called to do something, it's going to be much harder to get through, if that makes sense. I hope it does. I mean, like we already are going to go through trials, tribulations, but when it's something that God has already wrote in our, like if he wrote it down for us, then he gives us the grace to go through it. I think it's that simple. I don't know how else to say that. But yeah, I believe that so I would really just say that I'll like in the moments where you feel overwhelmed, where you feel like nothing is happening the way that you want it to happen, or like it's taking too long to happen, like me with healing, I'm like, Lord, I'm tired, so I'm not understanding, like I need this to speed up. Like just trusting God and asking for a moment of just peace and patience. I think what I'm gonna do too is just talk more about like fruits of the spirit too, because all of it ties in together. But especially patience. I feel like we need patience with each other. We need grace with each other. We need to love one another, and with love is patient and kind, and it's we really need to do that. And I feel like the world needs a lot more love. It's like it's filled with so much hate that one person at a time, if you are just gentle with somebody, that can make somebody's whole day. That's why I just feel like I just try to be gentle and nice and patient with people, because you never know what kind of day they're already having, or the life they had to live, or what they've gone through, or what they're going through in the moment. It's super important for us to just be calm and patient with people. And it's not it is not easy. It's definitely not easy. It's a choice. Like I said, it's very intentional to be patient with people. But we have to take it one day at a time, because it don't just happen. You really have to work on it. So patience is the capacity to accept or tolerate delay, trouble, or suffering with getting angry or upset. So that's what I'm saying for us. Like when we get angry or overwhelmed or frustrated or upset, we take deep breaths. We take deep breaths and pray. Like I know for me, like a little bit ago, I was super overwhelmed because I'm trying to get everything together for the business, and it's a lot. I tell you, it's a lot, but I know that I was just like, Lord, I need your help because I cannot do this by myself. I am struggling with this. I need you so bad right now that I just this is not gonna happen on my own strength. And yeah, so I would just say for everybody to just, when you feel, like I said, when you feel overwhelmed, when you feel angry, you feel you about to say something that you shouldn't say or do something that you shouldn't do, take a moment, breathe, pray, and do what he said, do what God says to do. So, which, in a gentle answer, it turns away wrath. So that's why I say, like, you never know what somebody is going through. So with us just being able to just be kind to people and be gentle with people and be patient with them, it just shows them Jesus. Like, you may be the only person or only thing that somebody will encounter Jesus with. So you don't want to miss an opportunity. God tells us not to miss opportunities. So we need to make sure that, of course, you're going to have your days. I ain't going to say I'm perfect because I have my moments, I have my days, but at the end of it all, we have to just still remain focused on what the Lord has called us to do, and that is to love one another. Um, and loving comes with patience. Patience comes with love. It all ties together. So, um, yeah, that's all I got for y'all today, folks. I know this is probably short, sweet, and simple. I really, I'm praying that each and every one of you that have listened to this take some practical tips of taking a moment to breathe and to pray before making a decision and listening to what the Lord is telling you to do. So, yeah, I will see y'all. Thank you for tuning in, and I will see y'all on the next episode of Let's Talk About It. Yeah, so bye.